Do you know how many times a day I get messages from former type 2 diabetics who have recognized that when they eat a proper human diet, not only does their hemoglobin A1C improve, it actually goes back to normal. I get messages every day from these people saying, effectively, what the hell's wrong with the American Diabetes Association? Why are they giving such terrible advice? I wanted to make a video addressed directly to the board of the American Diabetes Association, and also anyone who still listens to their dietary advice, and offer a new profit model for the American Diabetes Association, because I feel like the current profit model, and I know they're a nonprofit, but they still have to bring in money to pay the bills and to pay the employees. I feel like there's another way they could do this that would appear to be much more ethical and moral to people with diabetes, both type 1 and type 2. Now, currently, the American Diabetes Association receives millions of dollars a year in funding from big pharmaceutical corporations, mainly the ones that make injectable insulin, and also some of the ones who make pills and injections that help to lower hemoglobin A1Cs by 2 or 3 tenths of a point. And they also receive millions of dollars in funding from donations from big food corporations that sell highly processed food and Coca-Cola, Pepsi, soft drinks full of sugar. And this looks very disingenuous to the average diabetic. They're like, why would you even take money from someone like that? And then also I feel like it puts the American Diabetes Association in a bind morally, because they're getting millions of dollars from these corporations who literally profit from people having high blood sugars and from eating lots of high carbohydrate, highly processed foods. It feels wrong, doesn't it? Surely sitting at the board of directors meeting, or maybe the virtual meeting, that's got to feel wrong to some of you guys. And so I want to offer you this alternative profit model so that you can still pay the bills. You won't have to lay anybody off. The board of directors can keep their 6-figure salaries, so everybody's happy and comfortable. There's more than enough research to show that a low carbohydrate diet not only improves blood sugar levels and hemoglobin A1C levels in diabetics, but also can completely reverse type 2 diabetes. On the ADA website, you said that diabetes currently affects 34 million Americans, and another 88 million people are at risk. Now, that's a lot of people that could potentially donate to the American Diabetes Association. Now, the American Diabetes Association does recognize a low carbohydrate diet as one of many different nutrition therapeutics that you might try. They also love to recommend the food plate, the My Plate from the FDA. They love to recommend a plant-based diet. All these are options. But the problem is that the low carbohydrate diet option has more research done on it in diabetics than any other dietary strategy. And in every single study that I've ever seen, diabetics do better. They have lower blood sugars, lower A1Cs, and less long-term complications. So here's my idea. Now, the American Diabetes Association needs to hold a press conference, and you need to say out loud on all media outlets, we have changed our minds. Every diabetic, type 1, type 2, LADA, all you guys need to eat a low carbohydrate diet. We're sorry for our previous advice. Now, what's going to happen when you hold this press conference is that low carb influencers like me are going to applaud you, and there's lots of us. And then also every type 2 diabetic who's reversed their type 2 diabetes with a low carbohydrate diet, they're going to regain some respect for you that they had lost in the past. And then also type 1 diabetics who have followed all your recommendations and their A1C just won't come down, keeps going up. They have to use more and more injectable insulin. They're going to be able to use 80 or 90% less insulin over the course of the year. They're going to save a ton of money, and you're going to protect them from all the disastrous complications that come from uncontrolled type 1 diabetes. All of these millions of diabetics are going to appreciate this press conference very much. And they're going to appreciate that you have turned away from the filthy lucre of corporate money from Coca-Cola and Kellogg's and Kraft and Danone. And you've turned away from the millions of dollars that you get every year from Novo Nordisk, Sanofi, Eli Lilly, AstraZeneca, Regeneron. And they're going to understand, hey, the ADA's back in my corner now. They're actually trying to help me as a type 1 diabetic have a normal A1C. Or they're trying to help me as a current type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic to have a normal A1C again. Now, when you hold this press conference, you're going to lose your contributions from Novo Nordisk because they make money selling insulin. Sanofi, Eli Lilly, AstraZeneca, Regeneron, all these guys are either going to greatly reduce their annual donation to you or they're going to pull it all together. That's going to happen. So be prepared for that. Also, the millions of dollars you get a year from Coca-Cola, Danone, Kraft, Kellogg's, you're probably going to lose that money. And so here's your alternative profit motive. You currently seem to think that the average diabetic is either too dumb or too lazy to follow a low carbohydrate diet. The reason it feels that way is because all these people have been jerked around for decades by you and by other regulatory and authoritative voices out there saying, oh, eat this, eat that, eat this, and nothing works. Or take this new pill, take this new injection, and it maybe improves their A1C reading by 1/10 of 1 percentage point and costs $35 a month for the rest of their life. These people are upset with you right now, and you've lost a lot of credibility. So when you start recommending a diet that will actually reverse every single case of type 2 diabetes in the United States, as these people do reverse their type 2 diabetes, they're going to be very appreciative to you. And they're more than willing to show that appreciation by donating to the American Diabetes Association. And when all of the type 1 diabetics in the world suddenly, after 6 months of following your new dietary advice, they now have a normal hemoglobin A1C, their neuropathy is better, all their complications stop getting worse, they're going to be very, very appreciative. And they're going to show that appreciation by getting out their checkbook or their credit card. And they're going to make a donation to the American Diabetes Association. And since we know by the statistics on your own website that there's over 100 million Americans that are going to immediately start to benefit from your low-carb dietary advice, that's 100 million people. If they just each gave $1 a piece, that's more money than you're currently getting from Big Pharma and Big Food. So you could actually greatly increase your donations and actually be doing the right thing. But as long as you're recommending, and you have diet books out there, recipe books that show recipes like this and like this and like this, you're not helping anybody reverse their type 2 diabetes. You're not helping a single type 1 diabetic have a normal A1C. So really, do you see effectively, I'm talking directly to the board of directors now, do you see that effectively, although you say pretty things like, we want to end diabetes and stamp out diabetes, what you're effectively doing is you're helping the big pharmaceutical companies and the big food manufacturers make billions of dollars a year, and you're not really helping diabetics get better. You're not helping type 2 diabetics reverse type 2 diabetes. You're not helping people with pre-diabetes never develop type 2 diabetes, and you're not helping type 1 diabetics have a normal A1C. So effectively, even though your goal is to help diabetics, your actual results are you're just helping big pharma and big food make billions of dollars a year. And I know that's not what you want. So stop with the cookbooks with recipes that have so many carbohydrates in one tiny serving that they're going to have to match that with insulin. That's not what the American Diabetes Association should be doing. Stop recommending pharmaceuticals as first-line therapy. Change your guidelines and hold a press conference so that every diabetic in the country knows that you have changed your opinion and that you have changed your tune and that you have perhaps righted your moral compass, right? And also send out a supplement to every licensed doctor in the United States and say, hey, If you take care of type 1 or type 2 diabetics, you've got to change how you recommend diet to them. Do not recommend a high carbohydrate diet to them, regardless of if it's plant-based, highly processed, Mediterranean, whatever. Type 2 diabetics and type 1 diabetics have a carbohydrate intolerance. They need to, by definition, eat a low carbohydrate diet. And when you send out that supplement to every licensed doctor in the United States, and when you hold a press conference that's on YouTube and on CNN and Fox and MSNBC and everywhere else, and tell every diabetic in the country, hey, cut back on the carbohydrates. If you're type 2, you'll reverse your diabetes. If you're type 1, you will get to have, maybe for the first time in your life, a normal hemoglobin A1C. Just think of all the hundreds of thousands of diabetics whose neuropathy will get better within weeks of you holding this press conference, whose gastroparesis will start to slowly improve because you held this press conference, who when they go to the doctor, something that they formerly dreaded because that damn A1C is going to be high again, it's now moving towards normal. Do you understand? That's 100 million people in the United States who are going to be so appreciative of you and who are going to trust you again and who are going to help support you so that you can tell the big pharma corporations and the big food corporations, if they're like, look, you need to stop this low carb foolishness or we're going to pull our donation. You can tell them exactly what you should have told them 20 years ago. You can take your $1 million and go to hell, because the American Diabetes Association is here to not help you with your profits. We're here to help diabetics live a long, healthy life and keep all their toes and keep their feet and keep their legs and keep their kidneys. I know you get a donation from one of the big dialysis centers in America. They may pull that too when they stop getting constant new diabetic patients needing dialysis because you've changed your recommendations from effectively a high carb diet to now a low carb diet that actually helps diabetics stay out of dialysis clinics. You may lose that donation too. But think of how many type 2 diabetics who are not having to go to dialysis because you recommended a low carb diet publicly and loudly. You don't think they're going to write you a check every year? Because I have found in my personal experience, when you help a type 2 diabetic reverse, and I know you call it put it into remission currently, but you'll get there eventually. When you help a type 2 diabetic reverse their diabetes, something they never thought possible, they're very appreciative. And they will send you a donation, I promise. And when you help type 1 diabetics have a normal hemoglobin A1C, something they never dreamed would happen again, and use 80 to 90% less insulin, they are so appreciative. They will support you in your new mission to actually help diabetics be healthier. I promise you this. I am not an enemy of the American Diabetes Association, and you may think from some of my past tweets that I am your enemy, but I'm not your enemy. I would love to work with you to completely eradicate type 2 diabetes and prediabetes and metabolic syndrome as the terrible risk factors that they are for heart disease and stroke. I would love to help you do that. I would love to work with you side by side. But with your current recommendations and where you currently get your funding from, I'm not comfortable doing that. But when you hold your low carb press conference, I'll be first in line to sing your praises. Hope this video helps the board of directors of the American Diabetes Association, and I hope it helps any diabetic out there who currently doesn't know that eating a low carbohydrate diet will give you a better blood sugar and hemoglobin A1C reading than you've perhaps ever seen in your adult life. This video is for you too. Hope this helps. This is Dr. Berry. I'll see you next time.